Welcome to the Honor It All podcast. I'm Honor Garrett, your host, and we're here to honor all that is good in the world. Each podcast, I interview top professionals around the globe who are making a difference, impacting lives, and creating positive change. Today, we have a special guest, Rebekah Sharpe. She is my friend. She is a sister. She is a daughter, a speaker, and more importantly, a lover of Jesus Christ. As a graduate from the University of Michigan and with a BA in communications, she now resides outside of Detroit, Michigan, working at Ford Motor Company's world headquarters. And yes, even though she has navigated the corporate world successfully, Rebekah has even bigger aspirations. She is a published author, and she started her own podcast and video show called Sharp Talk, where she, alongside her dad, former NFL player Louise Sharpe, tackles some very deep topics. Rebekah's earnest hope is that sharing her story of devastation, loss, redemption, and restoration, she will encourage others to shift their paradigm and recognize that our deepest pain always propels us to a higher purpose. But what I love most about Rebekah is her kind and gentle spirit. She truly wants to show the world that the Lord can take any situation, even trauma, and use it for good. I'm so excited to have you here today on the Honor It All podcast. Welcome, Rebekah. How are you?
Honor. It is such a blessing and a privilege and an honor to be here sharing this space with you tonight. So thank you so much. And for that beautiful introduction, I really sincerely appreciate it. And I am doing well. It is such a blessing to be back in your presence. It's been some time, although this is very full circle, as we were discussing before going live, but to just share this space with you tonight and for us to talk and, for me to get the opportunity to connect a little bit more with your audience, I just consider myself very blessed. So I am grateful on tonight and excited for us to continue the conversation.
Well, thank you, Rebekah. It's really a treat, especially just how I met Rebekah, because I think we first met through an NFL women's group. And I think we both admired what each other were saying or posting. And so we were drawn to a conversation. And I guess it was a couple years ago. Was it
2020? It was in 2020.
It was in 2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was the most amazing conversation. And I instantly knew that Rebekah was going to do big things. So I want to dive in. So are you ready?
I am ready. Let's do this, girl.
Okay. I like to get personal and fast and deep, quick. So I really believe that everyone has a story that really helps shape who they become. Can you give me a snapshot or a journey of your journey, especially as a believer, and how that has shaped who you are today?
Absolutely. When I think about the definition of faith, it's the substance of what we hope for and the evidence of what we cannot see. And if I would have been caught up in what I could see as I navigated through life, I would likely not even be here today, and I would be without a lot of hope. So faith for me has been foundational to everything that I do. It's literally what has powered me forward and through some very dark and devastating moments in my life. But I think the most poignant part about faith for me is how personal it has become. It's not a faith that my grandmother or my mother had, but it's become something that is personal and deeply rooted in me because I've seen God move in such amazing ways. I've literally watched him work miracles in my life and in the lives of those close to me. And, I have this relationship with him that I nurture each and every day. So I know that my faith makes such a significant difference in who I am today and the woman that I am becoming. So I'm so grateful for my faith. It's foundational to this healing journey that I have been on, and it really does shape and mold the woman that I show up as in the world today.
Well, that's so beautiful. And I think it's so important that you have this message and you share it, because most people look at anyone whose parents were in the limelight, or an actress, or a professional athlete, that boy, I would give anything for that. And people don't realize what happens behind the scenes, and that we're all human, and we all have our own struggles, and we're all going through something. The grass is not always greener, and we need to grow and learn where we are. Is there a pivotal moment? Is there anything that you want to share about your past, and then how were you always this strong in your faith, and what propelled you to have a stronger faith?
Yeah, so I have learned that, God is always speaking, whether it be through the storms of our life, through the suffering we go through his scriptures, or even through his saints. And I just always honor you, because I recall when we did meet in 2020, and we were having this dialogue in a Facebook group, and then I invited you, because I've always been pretty gregarious and bold and reaching out to people and kind of doing cold calls, if you will, because I really do like to connect, and to have conversations and to just learn more, expanding my worldview. But we had a Zoom call, and I was just kind of talking and sharing a little bit about my story, still sort of struggling with some of the shame of my past and the things that I have endured. And you just stopped and you were like, Rebekah, I think that you're hiding. I feel like you have so much more that you can give the world, and you're just in the shadows. It's time for you to emerge. And literally, I think of the proverb, kind words are like honey, sweet to the soul and health to the bones. But truly, you literally shifted the trajectory of my life by just being kind. And I want to invite people into those moments. If God places something on your heart to tell somebody, or if you feel like that person could just use a little extra zhuzh in their day, it could literally be the thing that sets them on this path to fulfilling their purpose. And so it has been a journey for me, obviously, but meeting people like yourself, having an incredible community of individuals around me that believe in me, that pray for me, that encourage me, that challenge me and sharpen me. I feel like that has been a very pivotal component of my healing journey. And I always say, I stand on the shoulders of giants. I represent the sum of many parts, and community and individuals like yourself speaking into my life have helped the scales to sort of fall off of my eyes, and for me to really see myself through the lens of God, and to now just be pursuing my destiny in a more courageous and confident way.
That's so powerful. And it's such a reminder that even the smallest thing that we do, we don't even think it really is making a difference. And it truly, you don't know where it's going to hit and who it's going to hit and how it's going to really resonate with someone else. So I have learned over the past few years that if I have this, I don't know if it's an impulse or this intention, there's something, if I feel called to do something, I truly believe it's from the Lord, because if you take that, and if you don't do it, there's so many blessings that might not have happened because you didn't just do something really simple. And so that's such a great reminder. I'm so thankful that you brought that up, because I look at it as when we hide because we have shame or guilt or blame, or we believe that that my story is not good enough, or no one's going to like me if I tell my story, when the exact opposite is true. When you can relate to somebody, when you can stand in their shoes and have compassion and hold space for them and love them where they are unconditionally, that's powerful. So I love it. Thank you for saying that. And tell me, so what has that propelled you to do over the last year? Because I feel like a lot has changed in your life. So give us a rundown on some things that are happening for you.
Yes, so many things are happening. I just consider myself truly blessed, to do a lot of what I have always felt in my heart, and, that tug in my spirit to do. I didn't know how I was going to get there because there were so many things and obstacles that seemed to be in the way. But now, I get to utilize my gifts and talents of writing and speaking, hosting, connecting, and inspiring. And I get to do that through the mediums of books and my podcast podcasts and, doing interviews like this, and even just like inspiring people at my job, and serving in different capacities throughout the relationships within my life. Like, it doesn't always, and I'm learning, it doesn't always have to be in the limelight and in front of the camera. In fact, some of the most poignant and powerful moments that I've shared have been one-on-one, or just with a small group of individuals. And so, yeah, getting the opportunity to just serve humanity in a greater way, utilizing the gifts that God has given me and feeling such a reward in that. Like we talked about earlier, I used to hide and just feel like I was not good enough, and that if I really got naked, if I really became vulnerable and transparent, then it would almost like cast a shadow over who I am, because there was so many layers, right, of trauma and of brokenness and of pain and dysfunction in my life. But I realized that is my superpower, that is sort of the force multiplier in my life. And one of my favorite scriptures that I consider to be a life scripture is Genesis 50:20. And it says, what you meant for evil, God is using for the good and the saving of many lives. And I just love that last part, because it's like, yeah, not only is he taking it all and using it for a greater good, but he's also using it to save and impact and heal and restore other people's lives. And that's just what makes my baby leap and makes me come alive each and every day.
Well, I know that you've taken some time, obviously, to write a book. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, is that a book about your life, or what, and what inspired you to write it?
Yes, so I've actually written two so far. One was I co-authored, and that was my first one, as I was just sort of dipping my toe into the deep, right? And it's more of an anthology. So it's a collection of about 20 stories of millennial women. It's called Millennial Transformations: How the Power of Prayer Brought Forth Miracles. And so we highlight all these topics that have been pretty taboo in the church, things like divorce and addiction and sexual abuse, grief and loss, relationships, and just things that, that aren't always talked about, but that people are truly going through, right? But how the power of prayer is what manifested the miracles in these people's lives, in order to get through what it was that they were going through. And that was really important to me, because I started recognizing the value and the power in my own story. And I'm like, hey, I'm not the only one with the story here. There are many people who have very powerful stories that I know will resonate with others. And so that's what inspired the first book that I wrote, and it did really well. And we just got so much powerful and positive feedback from people who read the stories and who were able to see themselves through the lives of these, successful millennial women that really got transparent and vulnerable and shared from the depths of their heart. And then I wrote a second book. It's an ebook. It's called Truths from the Throne: 10 Keys to Prospering in a Pandemic. And that is actually a free ebook that is part of my website. So if you go to my website, www.rebekahsharpe.com, and you give us your email address, then you'll get a copy of this ebook. And for me, I don't want to be dismissive or punitive to the tremendous loss of life, loss of freedom, loss of, this normalcy, right, that we all got so accustomed to with the pandemic. But God really did some remarkable things in my life, starting in the year 2020, when you and I had that conversation. And I felt this quickening and this urge in my spirit to talk through some of the keys that he really highlighted to me that I was utilizing during this time of the pandemic. And it was really propelling me into this greater place of prosperity that I didn't even realize was available to me. And it's not just monetarily, even though that was a part of it through a promotion I got on my job, but I was prospering in my relationships and in my prayer life, and, restoring things that had been broken in previous seasons. And my faith was becoming stronger. And so this was my opportunity to really capture what that journey looked like. And of course, use it to inspire someone else as we're all, navigating this time that we're living in with the pandemic. But that got, really great reviews as well. And people were inspired and, they were hopeful after reading it. And I think it just helped to bring a different perspective, right? Because there's so much negativity around these last 2 years, and rightfully so, but it's like God is still moving even in the midst of all the chaos and the calamity in COVID. And so I was really grateful to be an instrument to just bring forth that other perspective of what he was doing in the midst of it all.
And if we can take everything that God gives us and literally just put it through the filter of goodness, something good comes out of it. I mean, I think about how we thought COVID was going to last 2 weeks, right? Well, I'll go back to school and work in 2 weeks. And all of my kids came home, and I have 4 grown kids, and they would not, and they worked from home or they did school from home or whatever it was. And we would have never, all of us, been together again like that for that extended amount of time. It was really a special time. So there is, but then I also recognize that for some people who were stuck in home and not in safe home environments, that it could be tragic. And so I really try to stay open and not, but even know at the depths of my soul, God has something that good that can come out of that, but it does not feel like it right now for some people. So I completely identify and understand that. But I know too, I wanted to touch on the fact that you and your dad, or I'm not even sure, you might have started it by yourself and then added your dad. I don't know how it all started, but tell us about Sharp Talk. And what is it? How can people watch it? And what is it all about?
Yeah, wonderful. So, and that is part of one of the gifts that 2020 really brought into my life. So I had just moved back to Detroit from Pittsburgh. I had spent 7 years there working at Ford Motor Company. And so I came here January 2020, right before the axis of the world shift. I always say that. And so I was living with family, and it was only supposed to be temporary because I'm like, okay, I'm going to look for a place I was ready to buy now that I knew I'd be back home and establish some roots here. And then COVID hit, right? And so everything sort of shut down, and we were all, my father and I were living in the same place at the same time. And so it was almost like God forced us to spend this time together, but there was such healing virtue that came. And we started having just deeper conversations and started experiencing restoration and healing in our relationship, and just having the space and grace to talk, and to just sort of reconcile some things that I think we had both had sort of pent up in our hearts. And we used to get on like Facebook Live just to something fun, right? But people would always just they'd be impacted by us just being together and talking. A lot of times it was talking about the Lord or different things that were happening in our lives. And so we got serious about it October 1st of 2020, because we were talking about the book, Millennial Transformations, When Prayer Manifests Miracles. And that was like the birthing and the launching of us saying, okay, we're going to lean into Sharp Talk. We're going to brand the show, and let's start bringing in some of your former colleagues and coaches and teammates, and let's add a little razzle dazzle to Sharp Talk. And so 3 seasons in, we've been able to talk to some incredible individuals, Hall of Fame players, Olympic gold medalists, newscasters, basketball players. You name it, we've had them on Sharp Talk, and we've been able to really showcase the story behind their glory. So we're deep people because we've gone through a lot, right? And so it's not just, okay, we all know the accolades and the wonderful things that you have done. And of course we want to highlight those, but we also want to know more about your family life and what was going on behind the scenes, and how did you navigate, the stardom, right? And the success and the fame. What was that like for you? What kind of impact did it have on your family? Tell us a little bit about where you grew up. And so it really has been moving to just see people. I mean, we've had, these big football players. Well, not all of them are big anymore, but, just strong-minded, right? To play that game, you certainly have to be in tears on the show, right? Just because we gave them a space to really speak from their hearts. And those have been some of the most touching episodes. But I think the most incredible thing about Sharp Talk is that this is actually legacy work. So my father hosted Sharp Talk as a radio program the year that I was born in St. Louis. And he used to interview like rising. I know. I mean, my grandmother, so when we were moving, she found the newspaper clipping. So I actually have it. And it's like, oh, Sharp Talk hosted on, I forget the actual number of the radio that he was on, because there was only like AM at that time in the late 80s. But it's like, yeah, Louise Sharp hosts Sharp Talk, and he brings on teammates and political figures and rising stars, and they talk about the game, and make sure you tune in. And this was literally the year that I was born that he was doing this. And he even did some commentating throughout his career. In fact, that was his plan for retirement, but free will kind of led him down a different direction. So it's just been, when I saw that, I'm like, okay, this is God's work. And God knew even before the foundations of the earth that like my dad would start this, take a 33-year break, right? And then be able to come back and continue it with me as his daughter. And I'm just praying and believing that I'll be able to take it further, faster, and do even more with it. Because that's legacy to me, being able to walk in the fullness of maybe what my parents weren't able to do because of some of the decisions that they made, but they had me, and I'm sort of like the promise, right, of things that they didn't get a chance to fulfill, but I and it's not like a pressure or anything. It's an honor, honestly, for me to continue our family legacy and to go into these spaces and places and say, you know what, we have gone through a lot, but there's glory in our story, and God is using all of it. In this arc of time that we're living in, we need more people to arise and shine, right? And talk about their experiences, because there's so many of us who are going through very similar things.
I'm going to challenge you, because and maybe you've already done it, but you need to pitch this show to a network, whether it's what you have. Okay. I mean,
we've done a lot of pitching, because what people would tell us that all the time, especially as I was mentioning to you, like the father-daughter dynamic, you don't really see it that often, particularly in our community, but also just with the story that we have, like this is just kind of like a wide open space. And so we spent some time, pitching. Some of it is like who you know, right? But I always tell my dad, there's a proverb that I love, and it's like, unrelenting disappointment makes the heart sick, but a sudden good break leads to the tree of life. So I still believe that he is a God of suddenlies, and that in his timing, and we're still going to work on it. So I'm not just expecting it to just show up, because faith without works is dead, right? But I believe that in his timing, the right person will see it and be like, oh, I feel something on this. I want to actually like invest in it and lean into it.
Well, it makes me think of even some of the books that I've read, and then I think Harry Potter. She had to try like so many times before anyone would look at it. And then the movie or The Help, there were 50 producers that turned it down until it was made a movie. But whether it's NFL Network or whether it's owned Oprah's network.
Listen, I receive all of this speaking honor, because you have power. Your words have power, sister. I've seen them manifest in my own life. So I am receiving this and believing it here in 2022, because this is your breakthrough.
Well, I can see it. I can see it. And I'm just so excited for you. So I want to honor our audience, because there may be people out there who are struggling. People that are just like, yes, it looks like you have it all together and everything's just falling into place. But you don't know what my life is like right now. What words of encouragement, or what would you tell somebody in our audience that wants to do something and they just don't feel like they can?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you're in the right place. So we're glad that you're here on the Honor It All podcast. And what I can say from my own life experience is that there really is purpose in your pain. And your pain will point you in the direction of the promise and the potential of your future. So I want to encourage you as a daughter of the Most High God that he loves you, God loves you, and he promises to take all things and work them together for your good and his glory. So we hold space for the challenging and difficult things that you are going through, but please know that if you are still here, if you're still alive, if you're still breathing, that means that there is still a hope-filled plan for your future. That's what God's word says, that for I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to bring you hope and a future. And so just let that rest over you whenever you are watching this. And I really do encourage you to take God's word and just like saturate yourself in it, speak it over your life, declare it over your situation, because literally that what I have learned in my life is that God's word will take you from the midnight of desperation into the daybreak of joy. So keep honoring yourself, keep believing, keep trusting, keep going. And like I said before, stay plugged into this movement, because I know based on the guests that Honor brings, she'll continue to have people that will pour into your spirit and help you get through what it is you're going through.
I can already see another book, maybe even a Bible study there, but we'll see. But you remind me of Tony Evans' daughter, Priscilla.
Oh, Priscilla Shire. Wow, that is such a generous compliment. Thank you so much. I love her.
She just knows, she loves the Lord, she knows the Lord, and she has no problem speaking the truth.
Yep.
So,
and it will set you free. The truth will set you free.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I also believe that love, self-love, and self-care are really the beginning of creating an authentic life, because I used to think and feel so guilty if I did anything for myself. And now I realize that my life is a gift from God, that I'm even here and I'm breathing. I need to honor and take care of myself. And if I fill myself up with God's word and with taking care of myself, whether it's eating, whether it's exercising, whether it's filling my soul with things I enjoy doing, then I can serve from the overflow. Amen. So what's your take on that? Because it's such a tricky, self-care, and people go, no, that's selfish. Or is it self-full? And is it because you're thankful for what you have and you want to be the best you can to give forward?
Yeah, amen. I'm with you, Honor. And by the way, congratulations, because I've seen you do like the no sugar fast, and I know that you really honor your body and everything that you put in it. So that is just incredible and such an inspiration. But I fervently believe that the most important relationship that we have is with ourselves. It's the one that we're going to have the longest, and it should be the greatest priority outside of God. And I think, like you said, when we love ourselves, we can love, serve, and impact everyone else in a greater way. And the world that we're living in today is exhausting. So there has to be at least one thing every day that you can do to lessen the stress of living in this arc of time that we are in. And that can be as simple as gratitude. What do you think? List 3 things that you're grateful for when you wake up in the morning, and then 3 things that you're proud of when you go to sleep at night. Like, self-care doesn't always have to be these extravagant trips or, buying yourself something new or taking yourself on a date. All those things are wonderful and you should absolutely do them, but we don't always have the resources, right, to make them happen. We live very busy lives, but I think just prioritizing your heart and making sure that you are feeding your heart, that you are putting your heart first, as I said, and making sure that you are setting an environment where your heart can thrive, and you will be able to serve everyone else from the overflow of what you really fill yourself up with. So I think it's absolutely essential and critical that we take care of ourselves.
Okay. And how do you start your day? If you are trying to get in the right mindset, do you have any tricks or hacks or just daily exercises that you do that really get you started on the right foot?
Yes, absolutely. So for 2 months, I was going to Orange Theory every single day in the morning, which I love. I'm definitely like a morning person. I like to get my workout done first and foremost in the morning, and that just like sets me in the right mindset for the day. But now, and even before Orange Theory, I love the YouVersion Bible app. They have like the verse of the day, and I will always go to my phone to read the verse of the day and just allow myself to meditate on what God's word is saying. I'll also spend some time praying or listening to a worship song, and expressing gratitude, in those prayers. And that literally, like, I can tell if I did not do my morning routine. It makes such a difference in the way that I show up in the world. And also making my bed. Like, that is something that is so important to me. And it's funny because I remember as a child, that was never something that I like to do. But as an adult, it's just like almost like one of the first accomplishments of the day, right? Like, I'm making my bed, I'm caring for myself by making sure my space. And now, especially with spending so much time at home, that my space is tidy, that it's neat, that it's together. And so reading his word, praying, moments of gratitude, exercise, all of those things help to fill me up and really just curate the best version of myself that I can give to the rest of the world.
That's wonderful. Yes, I make my bed every day too, because it just makes me feel good.
Yeah.
But I can remember as a kid, my mom would always make us make our bed. But because I didn't like to make my bed, I slept in a sleeping bag on top of my bed.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
I did.
It was always made. What would you do?
It was always made in the morning. I would just fold it down to the bottom of my bed.
Oh
I'm so embarrassed to even admit that I used to do that, but yeah, I don't do that anymore. But so can you share, this is kind of a big question, but maybe you have something for me. What would you say is your biggest life lesson so far?
Yeah, there's so many. I'm like, how can I just choose one, right? We've learned so much on this journey, but I think the biggest thing that I have learned today that I can say with conviction is that if you want to fly, you've got to give up the things that weigh you down. And the things that weigh you down are different for each and every one of us. But for me, it was really unforgiveness. And I recognize now that like unforgiveness truly is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Forgiveness, on the other hand, is the greatest gift that we can give to ourselves. And unforgiveness was really weighing me down, and it was causing like a fog or a haziness in my ability to even see myself the way that God saw me. People had all these great things to say about me, but I'm like, I can't see that in myself. And I think it was the unforgiveness that was just causing these scales to be built up over time and keeping me living way beneath my divine privilege. And so I just think that forgiveness has been such an important part of my journey. And the fact that I am now I try to live in a perpetual state of forgiveness. And let me tell you, it's not easy. Sometimes it is a daily work, depending on how deep that wound is. But when you find yourself really striving and struggling with forgiveness, perhaps that's an indication that you're trying to do it in your own strength. And so in those moments, you really need to say, God, your grace is sufficient. And in my weakness is when your power, is when your strength is perfected. So I'm asking if you could just join hands with me and let's walk into this forgiveness journey together. And I promise you, each and every time he will meet you in that place and he will give you that peace. He will give you that grace. He will give you that wisdom. He'll soften your heart when it's a true desire of your heart. And he will help you walk in a greater realm of forgiveness, which will ultimately, and has for me, enabled me to soar to new heights because I'm no longer holding on to things that are keeping me earthbound, right? I'm living in the light of his presence.
And that unforgiveness is almost like we're not trusting God. Like it's not our job to hold a grudge for anyone, or it's lessening our own power. And when I say power, I don't mean control of our own life, but I mean power in that the divine power that God gives us to live this amazing life And we're pinching it off. We're just pinching it off by giving that resentment and unforgiveness towards other people. And so we can't live life in the fullness.
Exactly. That was literally my experience. And like, I remember somebody telling me once, you only have one heart. And I understand why God tells us to guard your heart, because out of it, all the issues of life flow. So if you allow your heart to just be burdened and hardened with bitterness and unforgiveness and anger and all of how are you ever going to live the abundant life that Jesus died for? You know, your heart, it just can't handle anything good because it's just so raw in all of the negative and devastating things. So honestly, please, this Honor It community, do yourself a favor and start leaning into forgiveness and release and letting go. And you will be astounded and I say that because I have been. And just what the release and the levity and the love and just the fullness of an awakening that you will experience when you really do learn how to co-labor with God and forgive.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that share, because it's great advice and definitely life-giving. So two more questions I'd love to ask you before we go. But one, what's on the horizon? Do you have anything big or new that you want to share, or anything that you want to share with our audience? I will tell the audience, all of your information will be in the show notes, whether they're watching it on YouTube or on a podcast. I will have all that there. So if you want to get in touch with Rebekah, you'll be able to. But I'm just curious, is there anything that we need to look out for that's coming that you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, so when I saw this question, of course, the first thing I thought about is like, well, what's on the horizon is a lot of greatness and glory. And if you read in Isaiah 60, he says that darkness is going to cover the earth and deep darkness over the people, but the Lord will rise upon us and his glory will appear over us. So he says, arise and shine because your light has come. And I just feel like I'm here to proclaim that message. Like, we see all of the craziness that's happening in the world around us, but we just cannot, we have to take heart because God still wants to use us as his people, no matter where you are in your relationship with him. But like, there's glory that is attached to your life, and he wants to use you to be a light in the midst of dark places. And that's what I feel is on the horizon for me. And so definitely another couple of books, because I do still want to tell my life story. Also looking into some production measures. So we worked with a production company out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania last year and put together a pitch. And the Lord really just graced me to be courageous and to show up in a greater version of myself and make these pitches to some top executives at my company, Ford Motor Company. And it didn't go according to my plan, but I know that was just sort of a stepping stone, right? That was a seed in the ground. And so I believe that this year we're going to be able to water that seed in an even greater way and see the increase that will come forth from it. So I'm excited about that. I also host Courageous Conversations. So I have a video podcast as well, and I just interview inspiring individuals. Yeah, so it's funny because I actually launched it as a birthday gift to myself. Wow. I got all my friends together in my December of 2020. And I'm like, you know what? There's something that I want to share with you all. Of course, they're like, oh, are you pregnant? I'm like, I would literally need to be married. The Mary of this generation if I was pregnant. But no, I'm pregnant with purpose. And I've always wanted to have a show. And I used to think before I had the conversation with you that somebody had to come and give me a show. But it's like, you live in literally the social media driven digital landscape environment. You can create pretty much whatever you want to create, right? And whatever you would like to create. So yeah, it's called Courageous Conversations. And I did the first season all within like 2 months, which is crazy. And I think there were like 18 episodes. Wow. So I definitely, yeah. And it was just all of my friends, like everybody who attended my birthday party.
Hey, I love it.
Yeah, it was so kind. They were so generous with giving of their time. And so I'm looking forward to being a little more strategic, right? And asking people like yourself and others who are actually in this space, right? That are doing different things, that want to share more of their story. So I'm looking forward to season 2 of that. And then also, I recently became an ambassador, my father and I, for the Hall of Fame Behavioral Health Initiative, which has just been such a blessing because I feel like they speak our love language. So the initiative exists to raise awareness, reduce stigma, and to really transform culture around mental health, behavioral health, and substance abuse. And so it's been really a blessing to get a chance to connect with this initiative. And we've got some exciting events on the horizon that I am privileged enough to be a part of. And I just look forward to like sharing this message all over the world because I recognize how desperately we are in need of it in this time that we are living in. And so I feel really, really, really blessed to be a part of that initiative and to really be driving it forward as a player and family ambassador.
I think that's amazing. I have a real heart for, I was helping, and I have actually a Facebook group called Loving Heroes That Hurt. And it's about people who have had CTE and brain injuries through athletics or other means, and really how to help those that need help and their families, because being a member of a family of someone who has brain trauma is really hard. And so, I'm, thankful that even though my husband played for a short time, he does not have those signs or have those signs yet. And so I'm thankful for that, but I do have a heart for those who are suffering. So, and I'm sure that somehow fits a little bit into the mental health because those people are struggling as well. Rebekah, what you have shared today, honestly, if this doesn't inspire everybody here to literally know that you can just wake up, go to God, get inspired, have an idea, and go out and do it in faith, I don't know what else, because she's fired me up. There's some things that are sitting on my to-do list. So, but Rebekah, before we end, I love to ask every guest on my podcast. This is the Honor It All podcast. So what are you choosing to honor today?
Yeah, thank you so much for this question. So I am honoring this conversation with you, of course, and the space that you've created for others to show up authentically and beautifully. I'm also honoring the distances that I have traveled to meet the real me, because it has certainly been a journey. And also, and I mentioned this earlier, that despite the chaos and the calamity in this world, I'm honoring the fact that I'm still choosing hope, faith, and love, and believing that the best is truly yet to come. And I believe that, like, it's not just, oh, it sounds good. I wholeheartedly believe that we will see the goodness of God in the land of the living. And I'm just so blessed and grateful and honored to be able to be a part of what He's doing in the earth right now.
Wow, that is so beautiful. And it resonated with me when you said how far you've traveled to find the authentic self. And yet it was always inside you, right? It was always there, but we have to go through a lot.
Yeah, so it's almost like you travel to these great lengths internally. Yeah, it's not an external. I mean, part of it is an external journey, right? Because we're living in this life each and every day. But no, it really is that inner work. It's that inner work. It's the layers. It's all the different components and the facets and the things that I've had to just confront and deal with. And I can say confidently that I like the real me. I do like the real me, and I'm excited about even greater versions of Rebekah emerging in the future.
Well, I'm just so excited to see. You were lovely a year ago, but I see this calm confidence coming out even more, and it's just so beautiful. You're just glowing. So I want to thank you so much. I mean, what a way to end this perfect episode. And I just really want to thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me on. I keep using the word honor, and I would anyway, but it's on brand. I really feel honored. I love what you're doing. So I just encourage you to keep doing it because it is making a difference in the lives of many people and we need you. So keep it going. Thanks to everybody for sticking around and hanging out with us today. Looking forward to connecting with you all and continuing this journey together. God bless you.
Well, Rebekah, I'm so thankful and I can't wait to see all the new things that are coming out and will continue to unfold in your future. And until next time, everyone, remember, we are not promised tomorrow, so be present today. It is a gift and take time to honor it all.